Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So in today's video we're going to learn how to make this beautiful flared top. So if that sounds like something you're interested in learning, keep on watching and let's get right into it. So this is the fabric we're going to work with for this tutorial, and this is crepe fabric, and I'm working with 1.5 yards of this fabric. So what we want to do now basically is we want to fold this fabric into 4. What I have here, when I measure this from the top, was 47 inches. So you want to have 47 inches by 47 inches, or depending on what you want to work with. If you're a smaller person, you can make yours 43 or 42 inches by 42 inches, but basically we want to use this to cut a perfect circle, and that is why you want to make sure that it is equal. So I'm now going to fold this into 4 places as you see me doing right now. So guys, after folding this into 4 places, this is what we have. And for this particular top, we are working with our across chest measurement, because this is going to be a top that has a strap. So to get the measurement we need, we are going to work with our across chest measurement. For me, that is 31 inches, and I went ahead to divide 31 inches by 6, and what I got was about 5 inches. So I'm going to use what I got to mark across at this point here, so we get the correct flare we need for this top. So I'm just going to mark that across, and then we're going to rule it out. After marking that out, we're going to mark the length of the top. So I'm taking out 6 inches for the strap for the top, and then we're just going to go ahead to mark out the remaining length of this particular top. So for this top, I'm going to work with 22 inches. You can do yours depending on how you want it to be. You can also work with 20 inches, but I just prefer 22 inches because we're also going to fold this. But if you're going to use your overlocking machine, you can choose to work with 20 inches or 21 inches. So I'm just marking this across, and then we're going to rule this out. After marking that out, I'm going to go ahead to cut everything out. After cutting, this is what we have, and if you measure it, you want to make sure that you have exactly your cross front measurement. Now what we're going to do next is you're going to pick this up, and then you're going to create a notch at one of these points. So this notch you're creating is going to serve as your front piece, the front part of your dress. So you're going to hold this equally to the other side, and then when you get to the other point, you also want to create a notch at that point. So that part is going to serve as the back part of the top. So from this back part where I created the notch, I'm just going to slit this open a bit so we can wear this freely. So I'm going to mark about 2.5 inches to 3 inches. You can work with even 4 inches if you want more ease at the back. So I'm just cutting this out now after creating that mark. So we're going to go ahead to cut out a piece of fabric we need in order for us to close up that part. So this piece of fabric we're cutting out is going to serve as the interfacing, it's going to serve as the lining, it's going to serve as the lining piece for that back. So basically what you want to do is place it like this, right sides facing each other, and you want to sew along this line all the way up, following the line we went ahead to cut. So now we're going to take this to the machine to sew, and then I'm going to come back to show you. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. You can see that I already went ahead to cut out the lining piece, and when you're cutting this out, you want to make sure you cut it very well to this point, so when you flip it over, you have a neat finish. So I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm going to take this to the ironing board and give it a good press. So guys, after giving this a good press, you can see what it looks like. You can see that everything is laying down very well. Now we're going to go ahead to bring out our fabric straps. This is what we're going to use to close up the edges at the top. You can see that I just went ahead to iron down the fabric straps so it looks like a bias tape. So that is what you want to have, and this is really long. I'm just going to use this and then cut out the parts that I don't need. So you want to make sure you have a lot to work with. So I went ahead to make 2 of this. As you can see, I just went ahead to iron this to look like our normal bias tape. So now what we're going to do with this bias tape is, from this back piece where we went ahead to add that lining piece, we're going to place this from that point. You want to make sure you're leaving ½ inch of this bias on the outer part so you can close up the edge, and then we're going to use this to sew all the way around, stopping at that part where we have the notch. So I'm going to show you now. You can see that I left out ½ inch on the outer part here, and then we're going to start stitching this down following that ironing mark we created on our bias tape. So now we're just going to start sewing all the way to that point where we have the notch at the front of the top. So guys, you can see that I stopped at where we had that notch. Now on this part here, we're going to fold this part in, and then we're going to just stitch by that allowance we have there and then trim off the excess. After sewing, I just went ahead to trim off the excess, and then we're going to flip this inside. I'm also trimming off any excess thread or fabric we have. So the ½ inch we went ahead to sew at the top part here, I'm going to go ahead to trim it all the way to the other end, just so we have enough room to flip this over and sew. So after trimming off the excess we have there, I'm flipping this over and placing this down like this, so you can see what it's looking like. Now we want to just stitch this on the other side the way you would stitch down your waistband. That is what we're going to do on this part. So from the right side, you want to also make sure you're working with a matching thread so everything is coming out very neat. So from the right side, we're just going to stitch this down. You want to also take your time with this, so when you're stitching this down, you're stitching this on the correct line, and then everything is going to come out looking very nice. After stitching this from the back all the way to the front where we have that notch here, you want to just continue sewing this all the way into the strap. You're not going to go to the other side of the fabric, but you're going to sew this continually into the strap we have here. So you just have to watch and see what I'm doing here. So after sewing this, I just took that stitch into the strap I have here, and I just continue sewing all the way till I exhaust that bias strap we have there. So guys, you can see that this is very simple. This is what it looks like. So now you want to basically do the same thing we did for this part on the other side. Then I'll show you the slight difference that it will have at the front part here. So I'm just going to go ahead to sew everything, but when I get to the front side where we have that notch, I am going to come back to show you what to do. So I've gone ahead to sew the other side, and like I said, when I got to where we have the notch at the front here, I stopped so I can show you what to do when you get to this point. So when you get to this point, you want to make sure that the second strap is overlapping on the other one, because for this particular top it has like this crossed strap effect at the front. So you want to, at this point here, I first of all went to create a notch at the strap area. You can see what it looks like at that point, just so it relaxes better on that point for us to overlap it on the other side. So just watch carefully at what I am doing at this front point. I'm just going to close that part where I created that notch again, and then we're going to just, you can either stitch this on the other part where you're overlapping, or you can just leave it as it is and then just continue sewing on your strap, whichever way you prefer. Now I first of all want to stitch this down, meaning the same way I did for the other side, where you have to stitch this down the way you would stitch down your waistband. That is what we're doing at this point here before we go ahead to sew the straps at the top. So we're basically just going to stitch this all the way to the back. So when I'm done stitching this part down, I'm just going to go ahead to complete the straps for this part the way we did for the other side. So guys, after sewing, this is what we have. This is what the top is looking like. You can see that on the midpoint of the front, one of the strap is overlapping the other. So now what I want to do next is I want to go ahead to cut out my strap to my desired length. So for me, the front part of the strap is going to be 6 inches, while the back, because I want the back to be a bit lower than the front, is going to be 7 inches, or I'm going to work with 8 inches. So together that is going to be 13 inches. I'm also going to add ½ inch to join this to the back. That is going to give me 13.5 inches. So that is what I'm going to take note of. I already went ahead to mark it out, so I'm just going to go ahead to cut out the 13 inches. So we're working with 13 inches for our straps. So I'm going to go ahead to just cut this out, and then we're also going to cut out the strap for the second part as well. After cutting this out, we want to take them to the back. So each of them are going to the opposite side. So you can see that the right one for the front is going to the left side of the back, and the left one for the front is going to the right side of the back. So I'm just going to pin this down. I went ahead to place it at the desired position I want it to be, and then I just went ahead to pin it down. After pinning this down, we're going to go ahead to take this to the machine to secure it in place. Now we're going to take this to the machine to stitch on both sides, and then we're going to come back to finish up this part here, and we're done with our top. So guys, this is the final result. If you enjoyed watching this video and you found it helpful in any way, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already, and if you enjoy watching videos like this, you're also going to enjoy watching this one, so you can go check it out, and I will see you guys on the next one.